all minute details. May it be underdog follicles or perifollicular, everything you have explained in such a simpler way. Thank you, sir. We are been enriched with your lectures. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raju Saitya, sir. Now I would request Dr. Vandana Bansal ma'am to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Chaitanya Shimbekar.
Good afternoon to all, and thanks to MOGS for inviting us as chairpersons. I have the pleasure to introduce Dr. Chaitanya Shimbekar. He's MBBS, MD, FICOG, FICMCH, Diploma in Pelvic Scopy from Germany, CMD of Omega Hospital Private Limited at Nagpur. He's the past president, Nagpur OB-GYN Society, chairperson at present of the Infertility Committee, AMOGS. He's a librarian of Maharashtra, ISAR, member Infertility Committee, FOXY, recipient of Kamini Rao Yuva FOXY Oration Award, Dr. Kumud Tamaskar Oration, MS Signature Award 2021, Gold Medal MBBS, Mukund Shastri Gold Medal. I think we will have to have a long series of lectures from him for this Kandvali Best Paper Award, orations and talks in more than 50 FOXY societies. He's published 20 articles and 3 international publications. He's editor of Change. It's an AMOGS book on infertility practice in the COVID area, and 6 textbooks also. He's a guide and mentor for MUHS and ICOG post-PG fellowship at Omega Hospital. I invite you, Dr. Chaitanya, for your lecture today.
Thank you so much.
Evaluation.
Thank you so much, Vandana madam. I'll start sharing my screen. At the outset, I must thank MOGS and respected chairpersons. Greetings from Nagpur OB-GYN Society. The topic is in continuation of the topics which we are already discussing, and it is on the endometrial assessment on USG. We know that there are many options to assess the endometrium, and the popular options are TVS, HSG, and hysteroscopy. Out of these 3 options, 3D TVS is becoming more and more popular and is replacing almost both HSG and TVS. Now, HSG is something which is age-old. We know that the HSG is something we used to do regularly during our college days. But nowadays, it is taking a backseat because we know that nobody respects age unless it is distilled and bottled. And HSG is neither distilled nor bottled. So this is a sad part, but HSG is becoming taking a backseat. Especially for endometrial evaluation, I think HSG has no role to play nowadays, because when we did a survey of the patients, we found that 60% of the patients were not happy with HSG, and they said that because of the discomfort and pain, they are actually will never recommend HSG to anybody. So that's the story of HSG. Now, as far as hysteroscopy is concerned, hysteroscopy is the gold standard in the assessment of uterine cavity. But the advantage is that it's a see and treat policy. You can see and treat in the same sitting, but it's not that easy. To do or not to do hysteroscopy is the question. And if you just look at the guidelines, WHO clearly said that it should not be routinely done for evaluation of endometrium. NICE guidelines say that it should not be offered as an initial investigation. And X-ray also says that it could be useful for diagnosis and treatment of suspected pathology, but not as an initial investigation. So we are left with the fertility scans, and fertility scans are the best scans which are actually going to give us so much of idea about the endometrium. I remember 25-30 years back when I was in college doing my post-graduation, we used to do transabdominal sonography, and our staff nurse used to distribute Lasix tablets so that the bladder is full. That time, those were the best days of my life. Ignorance is a bliss. So we were not knowing so many things at that time, but just abdominal scan, we used to just see the endometrium. But now the things are crystal clear. Transvaginal sonography has taken the lead role as far as the assessment of endometrium is concerned, and nobody can replace TVS in OBGYN. कोई माइका लाल TVS को challenge नहीं कर सकता. ये आज की situation है. Now, if you do not have a good machine, you should remember that at least the minimum requirement which you should have is transvaginal sonography with a 2D scan. If possible, you should go for a color Doppler. And if you are, rich enough to go for the best machines, then you must go for this volume 3D PD Sono AVC vocal ultrasound, which is considered as the best ultrasound in the market. And this is something which we are using nowadays, and we get so much of information on so many things because of this good ultrasound machines with power Doppler and Sono AVC, where you can actually calculate the follicles and count the number of follicles on day 2 of the menses. Now I see what the mind knows, and this is what Dr. Sonal Panchal, Dr. Chaitanya Nagori, even Dr. Vandana Bansal, they have taught us this. And you have to explore your machines, you have to know the applications. It is like there is no difference between driving a Merc or Alto if you do not know the applications of the machine. So you must know, you must explore the machine, and you should know all the applications. Now we will start with the Mudde Ki Baat. If you just look at the ESHRE 2019 guidelines for ovulation induction, these guidelines, the key question in this guideline is, does monitoring of the endometrium affect the efficacy of the cycle? And they have found that there are no studies between the monitoring and no monitoring. And therefore, they have, even the Grissinger study says that if the baseline live birth rate is 20%, then every 2 millimeter endometrial thickness will increase the live birth rate by only 1.6%. They have said that even 3.7 millimeter, 5.6 millimeter endometrium can also give a live birth rate. And therefore, the 2019 ESHRE guidelines for ovulation induction clearly say that routine monitoring of endometrial thickness during overstimulation is not recommended. It is not recommended. That is what they say. They say that a single measurement of endometrium on the day of pickup or on the day of HCG is sufficient. You should counsel the patient if the endometrium is thin regarding the possibility of low pregnancy chance. But I very humbly agree to disagree, beg to differ here, because we do USG monitoring on day 5, day 7, day 9, and we know that endometrium is growing, and we are happy by looking at a growing endometrium. If the endometrium is not growing, then we can give PRP, GCSF, and so many adjuvants can be tried so that the endometrium becomes good enough to receive the embryo and get the pregnancy rate. So I agree to disagree. So we actually, what we do is we do endometrial thickness assessment throughout the cycle. And what matters at the end of the day is not only a good endometrial thickness, but a triple line and a very good vascularity. So this is what we are happy. And we are so happy when we see this type of endometrium with very good vascularity. So this is what we want. Now, there are 3 scans which are important as far as endometrial thickness and endometrial scanning is concerned. One is the baseline scan, second is pre-ovulatory scan, and third is the secretory scan. In between this, we also go on doing scans in between. Now, we know that there are 2 things which you have to focus. So, अपने 2 आंखें 2 चीजों पर बनी रहनी चाहिए. One is endometrium and second is ovaries. So, you know that there are estrogen and progesterone which are actually having its action on the endometrium. And the endometrium will undergo changes. The changes will be seen as morphological changes and vascular changes on ultrasound and Doppler. And monitoring of endometrium is equally important. And therefore, you should monitor follicles as well as endometrium. हमारे दोनों आंखें दोनों पर टिकी रहनी चाहिए. Now, the most important thing is how to hold the probe. और ये सब wrist का कमाल है. ये सब कलाई का कमाल है. And these wrist movements are so important that this is the best sagittal section which you should get. And when you get this sagittal section, if you are able to focus like this, that means you can label yourself as a TVS sonologist, because you know how to hold the probe and how to see the sagittal section of the uterus. In this section, you have to measure the anatomical uterocervical length and a physiological uterocervical length, because these 2 things have their own importance. And during IU and IVF, you should know the physiological UCL, because you can, depending on the length of this UCL, you can decide where to put the embryo and where to transfer the embryo. So this is first thing which you do. So on baseline scan, that is day 2 scan, what we see is a thin endometrium. The endometrium is sheared off. It is thin. It is less than 5 millimeters. Sometimes, because of the collection of the blood in the cavity, it may appear like a thick endometrium. So you should know, and you should be able to differentiate from a thick endometrium to a collection in the cavity. And if there is a thick endometrium, then you will get some vessels, feeding vessels in the subendometrial lining. But if it is a blood clot, you will not get any blood flow in this blood clot. So blood clot looks different from the thick endometrium. This is something which you should know whenever you are doing day 2 scan. Now, as I told you, you do the uterocervical length, physiological UCL, and then you do the Doppler at the same sitting. Now, this Doppler of uterine artery is important. Why this is important? Because on day 2, when you do Doppler, you come to know about the blood supply to the endometrium, because it is said that if the RI is more than 0.79, that means the blood supply is under resistance, and therefore you may require high doses of gonadotropin. So you can decide the dose of stimulation, starting dose of stimulation, क्योंकि जो सफर की शुरुआत हम लोग करते हैं उस वक्त हमारा डोज तय होना चाहिए, और उस वक्त का जो डोज है, that dose is decided from the RI of the uterine artery. So you see the RI of uterine artery and you decide the dose of the gonadotropins. Now you have to look for the journey of the endometrium towards motherhood. It is slowly going towards motherhood, and whenever slowly and steadily it is increasing in thickness, initially you will find that it is 1 to 2 millimeter per day, but there is no blood supply in initial time. But the turning point is 6 days before LH surge. 6 days before LH surge, you will find that it starts becoming triple line, and you can correlate it with the rising E2 levels. As the E2 levels rises, as Raju sir has rightly said in his previous lecture, that as the E2 levels rises, the endometrial thickness also goes on increasing. And this is ultimately what you want, a pear-shaped endometrium with intact junctional zone, and you have to watch for the shape, the contour, and if there is any disruption of junctional zone, you have to look for that also. Now, very important point is that if the cycle is non-stimulated or it is stimulated, the difference is seen in the endometrial lining and the growth of the endometrium. You will find that in non-stimulated cycle, the growth is different from the stimulated cycle. Suppose you give CC to a patient, then you should know that initially the endometrium is thin, but later on it increases at a faster rate. So increases at a faster rate and becomes thick in the latter part. If your patient is on gonadotropins, then endometrial thickness is always greater than non-stimulated cycles. So you have stimulated, you will get good endometrium, that is for sure, and it is much more than the non-stimulated cycle. Now this is a chart which is very interesting chart which shows the growth rate in stimulated cycles. Day 7, day 9, it is 1.9 millimeter. Day 9 to 11, it is 0.9 millimeter. Day 11 till HCG, it is 0.6 millimeter, and HCG to it is 0.5 millimeter. Now, whenever we are doing ovulation studies and whenever you are monitoring endometrium in the same time, sometimes you are depressed. Sometimes you feel that why the endometrium is not growing properly. Initially, it was very good. Now it is slowly growing. But this is the answer to your question. Do not worry. Ultimately, what is important is end result, and we want 9 millimeter triple line endometrium on the day of HCG or at the time of transfer, and this is ultimately what you want. Now, the endometrial thickness on the day of HCG is something which is important, and this endometrial thickness, how much do you expect? It has to be optimum, and that should be 8 millimeter. Now, suppose it is less, say suppose it is 6 to 8 millimeter. Then you may get pregnancy, but the miscarriage rate with this is 15 to 21%, almost 22%, as compared to the thickness which is more than 8 millimeter. Then the miscarriage rate is only 0 to 12%. That means as the endometrium becomes optimum, the chances of miscarriage are less. How do we measure the endometrial thickness? This is very important, and this is a practical point. You should always keep this in sagittal section. Outer margin to outer margin, exclude junctional zone, perpendicular to the long axis at the broadest part, and usually 1 to 2 centimeter below the fundus. Now, suppose you are doing your own scans. You will always add 1 millimeter for your wishful thinking. You feel good. You feel that this is 8 millimeter.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Last 2 minutes.
Last 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
But this is 15-minute talk, right?
Yes, sir. 12 minutes are done.
Already done?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Please give me 5 minutes. I'll finish very fast, please. So this is how you measure the endometrial thickness. And then if there is a transient fluid in the endometrium, in that situation, this is considered as normal at the time of HCG. Then you have to measure the 2 lips of the endometrium. And if this fluid is more than a slit, that means this is abnormal. But a slight fluid is accepted at the time of HCG. Similarly, you may get a fluid in the cervix, and this fluid in the cervix is also accepted at the time of HCG or at the time of LH surge. Now, EMJ or endometrial myometrial junction or interface is also important. And if this EMJ is interrupted or disrupted, that also means that endometrium is unhealthy. And you have to look for the blood flow of the endometrium as well. Now, you have to look for the morphological grading of the endometrium. And there are 3 grades of endometrium morphologically. Grade 1, where intervening areas are as echogenic as myometrium. Grade B, where the intervening areas are anechoic than the myometrium. And grade C, where there is a homogeneous endometrium. Now, nowadays, people are more relying on vascularity and Doppler than the morphology, but morphology is directly related to E2 levels. And this is how morphology goes, B to A to C. That is how it goes. And what is more important is the blood supply, and that is called as Appelbaum score. And this Appelbaum score, there is a zonicity, and zone 1 is where vessels are reaching to only EMJ. Zone 2, they are reaching up to the endometrial age. Zone 3, they are reaching internally to the hypoechoic zone. And zone 4 is they are reaching the endometrial cavity. Now, there is a direct relationship of this with pregnancy rate. As you can see, only 5.2% pregnancy with zone 1 and 74% pregnancy rate with zone 4. So as the zonicity increases, as the Doppler flow increases, you get better blood supply and you get better results as far as pregnancy rate is concerned. Now, you are marching towards excellence. We have discussed about Q2D, we have discussed about morphology, we have discussed about Doppler. Now we will be discussing about 3D. The question is, can we use 3D for endometrial assessment? And the answer is yes. It is considered as more reliable than the thickness and the Doppler also. So 3D power Doppler is considered as the best method, and where 3 to 7 milliliter of ml of volume of endometrium is considered as normal. And if you do 3D with PD, you get a global vascularity, and you come to know about the vascularity of the endometrium as well. And it is called as focal. Now I will just skip this and I will go to the last point. And this is, whenever you are doing secretory endometrium, you get a very good blood supply. Now this Doppler, we have been discussing about Doppler, and Doppler. This Doppler adds color to the life. And you have to have a Doppler flow which is going and reaching up to the inner margin of the endometrium and central line of the endometrium, then you are happy. So किसी ने खूब कहा है मुश्किल फिर भी करना चाहता हूँ, कली में रंग भरना चाहता हूँ. इस कली में, एंडोमेट्रियम की जो कली है, इस कली में हमको रंग भरना है, और कभी कभी ये रंग भरना मुश्किल हो जाता है. Like if there is a luteinized unruptured follicle, this is what you get: inadequate LH surge, low progesterone levels, endometrium is thick, echogenic, scanty blood flow, high resistance, and no fluid in pouch of Douglas. So this is not a very good picture. LUF patients, you will get a picture which is not very good. Doppler is not good. Similarly, LPD is something where रंग भरना मुश्किल है. इस कली में भी रंग भरना मुश्किल है. LPD again you get endometrium which is not a very good endometrium. So I will summarize whatever I have discussed till now. What are the signs of good receptivity of endometrium? Thickness of 8 to 10 millimeter. Morphology of grade A and grade B. Vascularity should be zone 3 or zone 4. RI less than 0.5, PSV more than 3 centimeter per second. Uterine artery PI less than 3.2. And good volume of 3 to 7 cc with good 3D PD power Doppler. This is what ultimately we want. So it is said that the eyes see what the mind knows. And life is beautiful whenever your eyes and your mind are in sync with each other. And this happens only when you put your soul into your ultrasound. So you put your soul into ultrasound and you will be able to see what your mind knows, and the life is then beautiful as seen in this slide. So thank you to my parent society, AMOGS, Maharashtra chapter of ISAR, Nagpur Gynec Society, to Team Omega with my directors, Dr. Manisha Shembekar, Dr. Parul Savji, and Dr. Ashish Dhararia. And a big thank you to Mumbai OBGYN Society for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Chaitanya, you've put your soul into the lecture and it was beautiful. You put all the physiology in the endometrium through the ultrasound. Excellent lecture. Great to listen to you. Maybe you can go on with the next speaker.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we all have been eagerly waiting for Dr. Chandranula sir's lecture, but he sends his apologies. He's stuck in an emergency procedure. So we'll try to take his lecture, maybe probably at the end of the next session. So I'd like to conclude this session. And
Riddhi, can I just say thank you, please? Yeah, Riddhi.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, this is Dr. Sarita Bhalerao. Thank you, Dr. Chaitanya, and thank you to everybody present here. It's lovely to see you, and I do hope to see you all at the faculty dinner this evening. Yeah? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sarita, we will join virtually for dinner.
I know. If only we could all meet physically, but